What's up, guys? My name is Caleb Lea. I'm with Rackley Realty. I wanted to go over some steps. This is a little bit longer of a video, but it's going to help anybody that's in a foreclosure situation know what options they have. I've been doing this for a while, and I've pretty much outlined the only 8 options that I've ever seen that you have. If you were in a foreclosure situation, we'll just start off really the easiest, in my opinion. So the easiest option you have is to go immediately to a family member or a friend, because they're not going to make you fill out paperwork. They're not going to make you do tax income statements or do all these things to give you the loan. You can just kind of go and be real with them and say, hey, this is what happened. Life happened and I'm behind by $5,000, 10 grand, or whatever you're behind. And see if they'll just grant you that loan and pay them back at a specific date until you get back on your feet. This is the easiest option and the most low-hanging fruit that allows you to keep your home, which is always the number one priority and the best outcome. If you do not have somebody that can give you a loan, or a friend or family, and that's not an option for you, then we'll go ahead and move to the next option, in my opinion, is to list and see what offers you get. Now, if you have a home that was bought with a VA or FHA loan, or maybe a rural development, and you didn't put any money down, if it's been a year, 2 years, or even 3 years, you probably still don't have enough equity to even cover the closing costs and commissions associated with selling real estate. A lot of people don't know that if you buy a home today and you sell it tomorrow, you will lose about 8% just from the associated fees related to buying and selling real estate. So if you have no equity, listing is not going to be an option, because you're going to have to cut a check at closing. So if you don't have somebody to give you a loan, you can't list it. Another option is loan modifications. You go to your lender, explain the situation to them. This is kind of like going to your friends or family, but instead of that, you're going to a third-party mediator. They have no interest. There's no personal ties to these people. It's just your bank, and they're going to be going off files and procedures. So it's extremely paperwork intensive, very administrative, and it's about a 50-50 chance whether they're going to approve you. And if they do approve you, what happens is they'll take that amount you're behind and they'll just attach it to the back of your loan, and then you'll just continue paying on the next coming up payment. And eventually, 20, 30 years down the line, when you do get to that point, you'll pay your amount then. These are great when they work, but I've also called a ton of people that are in situations where their banks say, well, call these people, and then you'll call them and they'll say, call these people, and it never goes anywhere. And when you finally do get to that person, they can't help you, and you're on a timeline. If you're in foreclosure, you have to make a decision. You have to get this payment caught up by a set date, usually about 30 to 45 days, maybe 60 days out. So you have to make something happen, and this can be extremely stressful to not know, even if you do everything right, to still not even know if you're going to get the loan modification. But it is an option that is there. They do loan mods, they do forbearance. Banks will work with you if you're a credible owner. If this doesn't work, you find out they're not going to give you a loan modification, you can do a rental. Typically, you're going to need a mortgage that's 4-5% interest, or a low enough interest where your payment monthly to the bank is low enough that you can put a renter in, high enough that you can make some cash flow between the two payments. If you have a 7% interest or a 6.5% interest rate loan, you bought it last year, you probably can't put a renter in there. The interest rate on the total debt that you already have is going to be too high. So you're not going to be able to cash flow. So rental probably won't make a lot of sense for you. And even if it did, most people don't want to be a landlord. If they're in a situation that they're in foreclosure, they're already dealing with things in life. Adding another rental on top of their stress is usually not what they're looking to do anyways. Again, it is an option. Cash offer, this is what you've probably gotten blown up 80 times this month by. Investors will come in and they'll try to offer you cash. The problem with that is, again, if you owe 280 and they're coming in and offering 220 cash next week, you're going to cut a check for $60,000. There's not enough spread there. You're going to still lose money. Even if you want to take the offer, you can't accept it because you're going to lose money at closing and be in debt by $60,000. So cash offers won't work as well. So at this point, I like to go through that because there's sometimes a 30% chance you can make one of these options work, or 40% chance. I do see it happen. The easiest option, in my opinion, is usually just going creative. If you have a debt that is at 4%, 5% interest, what we will do as an investor is come in and take over the existing debt that's already in place and catch up what you are behind on your arrears. Let's say it's 30,000 behind. We'll take $30,000 out of our own pocket, catch your mortgage back up, and reinstate your loan. And then that way your foreclosure stopped. You can walk away from the property and continue on without having that major hit on your record. And we will just walk in, take over the property, and put a renter in there and just add it to our portfolio. So creative finance is probably the best option. If you want it done quick, we can close in a week. These are your quickest, for sure, options if you're trying to just walk away from the property and you don't care what happens to it. You just need away from the foreclosure. The 7 and 8 options, again, renovating and listing is assuming that there's enough damage to your home that if you were to go in and fix the kitchen, the bathrooms, and maybe repaint and do some carpet work, that you would improve the overall value enough that you could sell the home and catch up what you owe and what you're behind. If you already have a home that's brand new and there's not much you can do to update it, this isn't an option. But some people do have homes that need a lot of work, and this is the route they can take. Bankruptcy is an absolute lose, lose, lose. The bank loses a performing loan. You lose a home and get a foreclosure. No investor is buying it and adding another home into their portfolio. No one else is getting a new home when they buy it from the investor. No one's winning on a bankruptcy. So this is your last option. You don't want to take this. I see the majority of people usually just go creative and let the investor take it from there and let them just walk away because they don't want to deal with it anymore. They don't want to deal with landlording or a rental, or the loan modifications haven't worked. So this is usually the option I see taking the most. Again, the ideal situation for us is that you get to retain home ownership and that you get to remain in your home. So I always like to at least outline the 8 options that you do have. So if you guys have any questions, if you guys live in Pulaski County, Lone Oak, Faulkner County, or Saline County, if you guys will just do me a favor and click the link in my bio and schedule a call, I'd love to hop on a call with you guys and kind of talk through what the options we have and what your specific situation looks like to see what we can do. Other than that, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great day.